Hey, the better rifle. Drop the gun! Oh, shit! I'm hit. I'm okay. But I'm not gonna die.
Welcome to Badges, Bullets, and Blunders. The following was filmed after the previous episode where my friend Nate talks about his experience fighting in the Second Battle of Fallujah, where journalists followed his unit and captured some of the events. Thanks for watching. This is AP, but we don't remember what night. We said Nightline?
Well, they released part of it on there. They kept releasing it over and over again, and even after when I was in between deployments, they kept showing clips of this on the news. They're like, "You're deployed again. I saw them on there." I was like, "No, I'm home. That's old video." They used it as stock footage later on.
Stock footage, yeah.
So what you see right here is the entryway at the top of the screen. So this is November 10th, 2004. So this is almost 20 years ago to the day here, and that'll be Marine Corps birthday here. This was
perfect.
This is Second Battle of Fallujah, and this is a couple days into it. And initial push through, not a whole lot of resistance. On this morning, we start coming across more bodies, and then we start coming across more people inside the houses, and we start getting more contact and more things going on here. So we'd had a couple little firefights earlier. Eric Hodges, who was killed on this day, he got in his first firefight earlier that morning, ended up shooting a guy. I got a picture of him on a... It seems surreal because he was on a tricycle, like fucking around in the house that morning before we stepped off to go through, because you just slept in whatever house we ended up in. Like wherever you ended up at the day, we stopped there, and that's where you stayed that night, and then we moved on to the next one. Post some security, and you run from there.
Yeah.
So we're starting. This is pretty early in the morning the next day, and I got pulled off to go. I'm attached to the squad as assaultman, so I was doing a lot of breaching. And as we start going up down this alleyway, I'm going house to house here, and this is my squad, and I get called over to go blow something up and to go breach another door. And I went over there, I was like, it's kind of like a padlock. I was like, just fucking shoot it. I'm not blowing that up. Just go in. So I'm coming back, and I'm just walking up, and I'm just coming into the stack when everything breaks out. So at the end of the alley there, as soon as our squad goes in, and Hodges he's gung-ho, he's excited because he just got in his first firefight, and he running up to the door in that courtyard area, and they just opened fire. They had an RPK and everything, just all sandbag bunkered up positions in there, and the courtyard's small. So about half the squad gets through. He goes down. Chris Adelsberger and the Doc and Sonnerville, they are trapped inside the courtyard. They end up going upstairs because there's a little external staircase access on the side. They go upstairs. We end up split because they can't go in that doorway unless you want to get shot, because it's just steady stream of machine gun fire through there. And there's firefights breaking up in different places in the neighborhood, so almost every one of our units is in contact, so we're not getting a lot of support from other places, and everybody's got their own problems. So we're there. We know we got people inside. It's relayed that we have somebody down. We don't even know how many or where exactly they are, and we're in the courtyard next to this. And this is what it starts picking up here as just afterwards. We go into that courtyard, and we're trying to figure out how to get people out. We're trying to figure out where people are. We're trying to get machine gunners and other ones around there. There's Elber Navarro is one of the other squad leaders in here. One of the hardest fucking Marines I've ever seen. Complete waste of talent now because he's a firefighter in L.A. I was like, really, dude? Like, all this talent in clearing things here? He actually wanted to be LAPD. He got out after this deployment. He got out, or after, just before, he got out briefly and found out after that he was colorblind. And he didn't know. I guess somehow it's weird. MEPS didn't pick that up because they're so scientific about the whole thing. Thorough screening.
I mean, they looked right at your butthole.
Yeah. I mean, it's on my butthole. They couldn't tell if I was colorblind or not on that one. So he found out he wasn't able to, so he comes back in, and he stayed for a little while. I think he got up to be like a staff sergeant, and then he got out. But he's a firefighter now. And I was like, really, dude? Like, waste of talent. But,
I'm going to play it, and you just tell me when to pause it.
Okay.
So that way you can just talk about what's going on.
So that's Elber Navarro right there.
Where they at? Where they at? Hey, where they at? Where is it? Where they at? Shooting from in there. Ah! The inside? Watch out!
Is that what that was?
No, that was there's multiple firefights going on. I think that's tracers skipping up from a different one.
That's all he made.
Eric Capacetta. He's a cop in Boston.
Hey, you got him!
So the reporters are in this courtyard with us. So
How many do you have? How many reporters?
there's a cameraman and one reporter that are stuck in here, and I'm somewhere in this area.
Stuck in there regretting their life's choices.
No, I think they were prior military in like the UK. So they had some experience. I give them credit for not being like armed people. They had a flak jacket and a Kevlar, but like no weaponry at all. I was like, you guys got some big balls being around this, because there was a lot of shit going on. Stupid though, because I kept trying to film over the gate. So we're pinned down in here and we're waiting to try to get the other people out and figure out where everyone's at. And then people start climbing over the wall into our courtyard. So we start shooting at them, and then people are popping up back in between the building. We're shooting at them again. And then we think a guy is down on the other side of the wall, and you hear movements, and we're like, we're going to get a fucking grenade heaved in here. And so we throw a grenade in there. And then we're like, still hearing noises. So Almer is the saw gunner. He's like, check. So he goes over. He switches because he wants to pop the wall with the AR, and he threw the grenade. So we wanted to see what happened. And he pops the wall, and the guy's dead. And he fired another round. And he's like, you hear him on the video briefly. He's like, guy had his fucking balls blown off because the grenade had thrown off. I think he was already down from getting shot going over the wall before this. But so he goes through. But we got investigated as shooting a wounded combatant. They're like, you go through, and it's like, no, it's not really what happened. I said, he shot a dead body, which is probably, not okay either. But it wasn't like he was a wounded person getting away. He
shot the guy that was just shooting at you.
Yeah, that just killed another one of our guys, a couple feet away here.
There
So,
you go.
so here, play from there. I don't know what goes on.
That's at the end, I think, that part.
Try getting up there. We even clear.
Oh,
West! Hey, he's in that garage! This one right here? Yeah! He's in there! We got friendlies on the roof! Everybody, frag out! Frag out! No, I was going.
Doesn't look like he's got a very good set picture there.
see, there's me. I don't even know what I'm holding on.
Hey, is that friendlies on the roof?
So for that part, it turns out it was not friendlies on the roof, because he came out into view, and you see that it's an AK, and it was like, oh, so we shot at him. He was surprised to see us over there. He thought he was getting away from the other part and was climbing into another area with a lot of armed Marines. So we shoot over here. You'll see it in the video somewhere, and it has us shooting and firing at him when they're coming into the courtyard.
We thought everything was clear. We had guys up on the roof, and went over there to go get him, pulled him back with the squad, and another guy popped out, tried to shoot me, and threw a frag at me, ran away from the frag, tripped over a little dead body, one of theirs, not ours, and made it back here. Now we're trying to get the guy out, take care of business.
Yeah, so pause. So what had happened was, again, he's talking on the radio there. We're trying to figure out what's going on, and he got stepped over. I wasn't trying to do like a Medal of Honor run here. I was like, they thought it was clear, and we're like, oh well, we got to go get our guys. So I haul ass down that alley. I run into that courtyard where all the people are getting shot at from before, and I run into there. Me and a Iraqi combatant there are face to face, and we'll both look pretty surprised, and then we both started trying to shoot each other. And I end up on that corner, right where you see them at the beginning of the video. I'm on that same corner, and he's shooting through there. I shot at him, and I don't know I don't think I could have missed, but I don't know, because there was still a lot of fire, and there's more people coming in there, so the machine guns are going off from other places. And I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting for him to come back out, and Navarro's shouting at me. He's like, "Where is he? Where is he?" And I'm pointing, and I'm like, "He's over here." And I'm trying to get Navarro up here so we can go shoot this guy and go clear the rest of this yard. And I hear tink, tink. I was like, what the fuck? And I look down, and there's like an old fucking pineapple grenade by my leg. And I was like, oh, that's probably not supposed to be here. Like I should leave. So I'm thinking this guy is like trying to set me up to shoot me, and he's gonna throw the grenade. He's gonna wait, come back right across the door entryway there, and he's gonna shoot me. So I'm trying to turn and run sideways, and there was another guy who came out in the alley earlier to go gun it out with Marines down there, and he didn't put a round in the chamber, so he was real excited, yelling, and came out and click, and then he just got shot. So he's down in the alley, which ended up being very lucky for me, because as I'm trying to run away, I trip on him as the grenade goes off. I trip and fall down. All the machine gunners at the end of the alley, they're like, "Oh, I thought you were dead." For sure, like, "Oh yeah, he's dead." That's the end of him. And I got back up and I ran in there, and I ran into the courtyard, and the reporters are in there, and they're like, "What happened? What happened?" And I was like, "Yeah, this fucking guy over here, and these fucking people over here." And I'm a little excited because, you know, there's a grenade that just exploded by me, and it was a little it caused some cause for concern. I probably had to change pants that day, but I didn't have any extra ones. So, and they stops me, and he's like, "Wait, stop it. Don't cuss." I was like, "Really? Don't fucking cuss." Okay. Like, this is the don't cuss. The things that are going on right now, we think that the cussing is the problem. So
all the dead bodies.
Yeah. I was like, there's a lot of shit going on right now, and don't cuss is not really my concern, but he goes through, and that's me telling the story to him afterwards, because he's like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Well, this is what happened." And I explained it to him, and we went through, and they sent that, and they ended up running on a few news things, and they kept running different parts of this footage, because we have a lot of stuff going on for these few days, and it's got different parts of me setting off charges and other parts in there. You can always tell, because like when the row of Marines goes in, I look like the small child that's with them.
They brought their little brother with them.
Yeah, like that's the only reason I'm still alive, is because I'm pretty sure that when they were aiming in on doorways, no one expected Boys Husky to come in at the end of the stack. It was like, nobody saw that shit coming. So I was like, "You're aiming a normal sized human," and I wasn't there. Good luck. I mean, and it's good that I didn't get hit, because like on my back right there, you can see I have a fucking rocket, and on my other side, I have a little small bag that's filled with chunks of C4 and blasting caps for demo shit and det cord and other things in here. So I was a walking bomb. So it was probably good that I didn't get a lot of stuff hitting me.
Where's the small?
My gunner has it, and my gunner is, where's my gunner in this part?
You want to watch the rest of it?
Yeah, I don't even know. If
Is he nearby at least?
I think it
I
was.
was thinking Marine Corps way that the gunner's got to be like at least a half a mile away.
No, he's in here somewhere. I'm trying to remember, because we split up into. I was the section leader for this, so I bounced around as needed, pretty much wherever we were going. But yeah, I couldn't play.
He's wounded in between these two houses. I don't know how far down 3rd Squad is.
See, there was more to that story. That was some careful editing there, but no. See, look right here. I'm pretty sure I set this bomb because, watch, normal sized people. Oh, it's cut off. I'm much smaller that comes in at the end. But yeah. There's weapons caches and things that we found throughout the city in different places there.
Probably going to show that.
Yeah. But yeah, so we end up eventually going out, and Chris Adelsberger ended up he was in the yard, and he ends up there. He got a Navy Cross that day during all of this. So he's up on the roof, and guys just kept coming out of his house and kept coming up the stairs, and they kept throwing grenades, and he's pushing them back off the roof. And guys are running upstairs, and he's fucking shooting guy after guy as they keep going through. The doc, of all people, got fucking wounded by one of the grenades and had fucking shrapnel in him. Somerville got, I don't remember if he got shot or fragged. His leg was all fucked up. He ended up getting medevac too. So Adelsberger's pretty much the only healthy person on this roof, just shooting wave after wave of people that kept coming up the stairs, and he ended up getting a Navy Cross. And he died about a month after this, as we're doing some back clearing for some other areas, that were supposed to already be clear. But no, Chris, that one hurt. But yeah, we were real close. He got promoted meritoriously in the field, so they always put everything on there. PFC Adelsberg was actually a Lance Corporal. He got promoted in the field a day or two before he got killed. But yeah, that's all this shit going on here. And then yeah, we finished that night. of all the fucking squads, they sent us to go back through to clear that house again. I was like, I do not want to go back in this fucking house. Like, I think we're comfortable with this courtyard. Like, can we take the other street? And it was like, it's night. You know, you have the surefires on there where you went through like lithium batteries every other house. I don't know how many 1, 2, 3 batteries we fucking went through, like a fortune of them. Because, you know, NVGs were fucking useless. Yeah, you got the stuff on there, but as soon as you shot, they blacked out, and then I had no night vision whatsoever. So it was like, no, we're gonna in the houses are gonna go white light, and we didn't do a lot of clearing at night, but we did some. And yeah, we'd go through and clear that, but fucking body parts everywhere, and bunkers, and fucking ammo, and machine guns, and you're just like, did we miss anyone? Because fuck, like if we did, this is an eerie place to go through.
Yeah, and they're hopping walls and
there's
tunnels
all kinds of shit going through there.
Even if you clear something, it's not really clear.
It didn't stay well, and different people had different versions of clearing, because like we were going through every single house. Other ones were like walking down the street, and if nobody shot at them, they considered that area clear. I was like, different levels of doing this was really creating problems there.
Different definitions.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it was a wild several weeks there.
Looks like those rockets. So those small rockets are comfortable. It reminds me on my first deployment. We had some bad intel during the march up, and they said that this Iraqi tank, like brigade, I think, had broken through and had changed positions or whatever, and was coming down to where I was in 17, where 17 was, and it was supposed to be 120 tanks coming down, and they were going to be at our position soon. So we had set up like it was the night of the crossing the LOD into Iraq, and so we set up this big fighting position battalion wide, and they're expecting 120 tanks to come. And which, you know, against like an infantry battalion is like you're toast. You're not beating a fucking 120 tank. So you do. But my dumb boot ass thought like, oh, this is great, you know. And I remember my team leader came to me, and we hadn't issued out any of the ordnance yet, and he had an AT4, and he's like, hey, you're gonna carry the AT4. And we're set in this defensive position. He's like, do you remember how to use it? You know, I had shot the little 9mm tracer rounds in boot camp, you know, but I had never actually fired one. So I was like, oh, I think so. You know, I kind of went over all the functions on it or whatever. And he gave me CT4, and I remember being so stupid, right? I was like super pumped because I'm like, I'm gonna get to fucking kill a tank tonight. I'm all excited, you know, like not realizing like, no, actually you're going to die. But anyways, it was bad intel. No tanks came. But I had that AT4 issued to me that night, so that was when we crossed over was March 19th of 03, and I carried that fucking AT4 for the next 2 months everywhere we went. So I had this, and it's a 14-pound rocket. You've seen them; they're big, long, you know. And I had that thing slung on my back everywhere. So every time you like climb a wall or a fence, you know, like the back end of that thing is hanging down. So you like get up on the wall and your ass is on the wall. Well, that back end is so you go to jump and it's like it's snagged and you fucking fall down. And it's just like the bane of my existence for all this time, right? And we get to the end of the after the, you know, they took Baghdad or whatever. We went to Najaf, and we're living in Najaf, and we set up a range to go shoot all of our old ordnance. And they're like, oh, you get to shoot your AT4 today. And I was like super pumped. I'm like, finally, get rid of this fucking thing. And I'd been carrying it for 2 months, and I finally get to shoot one. And like 11s don't get to shoot rockets. You know what I mean? 0311s don't shoot rockets. So if you're an 0311 who shot a rocket, it's kind of a big deal.
For a reason. You guys missed everything with rockets. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I was like pumped because I got to actually shoot one, you know? And so yeah, maybe it'll be a consolation prize for carrying this stupid fucking thing for 2 months, getting like snagged on everything. And so we go to the range, and we do like a live fire movement range or whatever, and we get to the very end. I was supposed to shoot this like whatever bunker we had built, and when we get to the end of the shooting range, and go through the whole thing, and I get to the end, get down, you know, get like all set up, get like charged and everything. I look back, you know, back stereo, all clear, the whole thing, and it's a fucking dud.
No.
And it didn't work. We had to fucking just dispose of it. It didn't work. I was like, I carried this motherfucker around.
The hang fire procedures and everything with like rockets and all that. It's like, that's again, like some scary shit. I'm like, are we sure it's not going to go off? Like, are we okay with this? Because like I had a couple live ones where we'd go to blow things off and either bad timing fuse, bad other things in here. And they didn't go off. And you're like,
what do I do now?
Like, I don't want to walk back up to this. I mean, we had a couple guys. I know one of our 51s on deployment, he got a splatter charge because he didn't have the blasting cap in well. Because he was always, the security force guys has always showed. And it's like, you can tell you haven't been doing your primary MOS in a while because you've been guarding a nuke base and not the same thing. And because he came over just before we deployed. So he's a corporal, but he'd never actually been a 51 because he spent the first like 2 years in like Washington and one of the other ones guarding stuff. Yeah, he had a splatter charge that came out, and so I was always thinking like, if I go up close to this thing, I mean, it's not a lot of C4, but it's enough.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's in that plus the shrapnel from the door and everything else there.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
gonna
gonna
be
it's not gonna go
uncomfortable.
well. But yeah, no, there was a lot of crazy things that went through there. I know I don't know if you guys had the same levels of suspicion like when we before the first invasion. You knew it was going to happen because they pulled us out of the field and they took us back and we had like pizza and had some. I was like, oh, we're fucking invading another country because they're not being nice to us for like there's got to be a motive behind this. And I was like, nobody trusts this bullshit. I was like, you guys are actually giving us decent food. I was like, no, we're fucked. We're definitely going into this country now.
Well, I graduated SOI on February 12th of '03, and 3 weeks, my unit had already gone over, like early
Oh,
February.
okay.
And so I got there, they'd already been there for a month in Kuwait. And so I got there on March 2nd of '03, and then we invaded 3 weeks later. So like they'd already been there for a month when I got there. And I remember like the other boots were like, "Oh, you don't know what it was like. You know, we've been here, we're like living in this tent for the last month or whatever." But before the night before we crossed over into Iraq, it was the same thing. Like they brought in a shit ton of pizza.
Yeah.
If you ever watched that HBO show Generation Kill, they
Yeah.
cover that where they all bring you pizza.
And everybody's like, this is suspect. Like,
Oh
this is
yeah, I know
we've
what
been
this
on
means.
egg
You're being
loaf,
nice.
egg loaf, and other bullshit. I'm like, oh, you guys think we're gonna die, don't you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's going to happen here. But yeah, and I mean, and then there was that weird part in there because it was everyone was a little nervous and scared because we didn't have a whole lot of people with combat experience because you had a
Oh
handful of
no.
guys that were Desert Storm or Somalia, but like
Mm.
we hadn't had like an honest to goodness like big war in a while,
Oh yeah.
so almost nobody had combat experience. So even your senior NCOs and everybody else, nobody really knew what was going to happen. But it was also like we went over there and everybody's expecting us to go through and invade. People are already in Afghanistan, and we're just, what if they just, because they were like, well, they're talking about peace talks. Like, what if we just go home? Like, that's gonna be fucking awkward because you were like, saying bye to everybody, lying to people, like, what if I get killed overseas? It's our last night. Come on, like, and if like we just go back, it's gonna be really, really awkward. Of
Yeah.
just like, yeah, never, they were just kidding. Like, come on, never mind.
Yeah, you talk about the experience differential, which is funny because like by my third deployment, like you get new like people in the company as in the leadership, the platoon sergeants will filter out, the platoon commanders will filter out. And so like my third deployment, I had a platoon commander who had never deployed before, a platoon sergeant who had never been on a deployment. He was, and he was in some training unit, probably like SOI. I think it was an SOI on the East Coast. And then he came out and this is his first deployment. And this was my third deployment. And so like it would be funny like watching them when we go outside the wire and like watching the platoon sergeant just be like super sketched out like the first couple of patrols just like wigging out the whole time and another one that I was a squad leader on my third deployment and one of my first team leader guy he lives in Aurora Grande, Danny Ballou, and we used to have this game where the company first sergeant, he was an admin guy all the way up till he became a first sergeant, and this is his first deployment to Iraq too. It was our third deployment, and he would never go out of the wire, but occasionally the company commander would make him go out on ops. Like when the company commander would come, he'd drag the first sergeant along. First Sergeant Brown was his name, and he was just fucking terrified. And it's funny because they don't have a role, like a first sergeant doesn't have a role on like a platoon or a squad size operation. They're just there, and so he's not even in the chain of command. And so me and my buddy Danny would just like make a game to try to make the first sergeant do shit. So like, so we'd be like, we have some people detained or whatever. Like, hey, first sergeant, we need you to post security on these people over here, and then like just leave him.
Oh. You saw that, I mean, because yeah, they change over everybody, and only in the enlisted generally stay. And obviously, you lose people, you lose your senior guys every time. So always new platoon commanders, new company commander, almost always not like their repeat time. So they're brand new to them. So it's always somebody trying to reinvent the wheel
Yeah.
and let's change everything here. And I
Yeah.
have a great idea. I learned this in OCS. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a fantastic story.
No, sir, that's not gonna work.
Come on, how about how do you what do you do with this grenade? I'm like, well, we throw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah. My second, that same bridge I was talking about, the pontoon bridge, the one night I was on the north side and the guys on the south side from the other squad just start shooting. And like we would talk and I knew what they were up to. Like they just would get bored and they would just start shooting like their saws to see like how many, like, let's see how many rounds we can put through this saw barrel before it fails, But they'd be like, oh, we got contact out here. Just like,
Oh, there was a lot of mysterious, especially guys, because we had guys that came in to Iraq like 3 months into that deployment.
Yeah.
Like, so, they didn't see any combat because we'd already through the initial push and it was all stable. It was
Yeah.
pretty quiet for
Yeah, yeah.
certain parts there. And they wanted to have something so bad.
Something
They're
to
like shooting
show.
at shadows and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that shit didn't happen. You're a
Yeah.
liar.
So we're on the north side, and these guys on the south side are just like lighting up this with their saw, just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. And the butter bar lieutenant, who was the commander for that post, and this is his first deployment, I'm up on the roof, and we had I think it's the Paz, like the 17 Bravo. It's the big one that would go on the saw, and it's a night vision, not the thermal, but the night vision one.
Yeah.
And we're just using it for like the guard post to like kind of look out, and had a little bit of magnification on it. And I'm standing there holding it, and I know what they're doing. You know, well, the platoon commander's freaking out. He's not my platoon commander. He's like the one. I think he's weapons platoon commander. And he's like freaking out because these guys are shooting, and he's like trying to like see what's going on. And he sees I'm holding the 14 Bravo or 17. Doesn't matter. 17 Bravo, because the 14 is the single M and
Yeah.
all. 17 Bravo, right? And he sees I'm holding it, and he like snatches it out of my hand. He's being kind of a dick. He's like, "Give me that!" And he takes it from me. I'm like, "Oh, fucking asshole," you know. And he like pulls it up. He's like trying to look across the river, and he's like looking, and he's all fucking mad. He's like, "This thing's fucking broken." You know, tosses it back to me, he's all mad. And I like look down at it, and I flip the switch. I was like, "No, you got to turn it on, sir." Thanks for watching. Happy Veterans Day. Happy birthday to all you crayon eaters out there, and stay frosty.